Hello, Podsmashers of the internet, and welcome to another episode of
8-bit Podsmash.
Where gaming goes to grab a clink. Beer. We are your hosts.
Penguin and Termite. I'm Penguin.
I am Termite, and we are a weekly video game podcast smashing together ideas that you care about with video games.
That's right. Tonight we're going to be talking about a topic that you all should care about because
this is the week. This is the
week that you guys are listening to this.
This is it.
It's still a while
happening.
away for us, and we have another game that we're hyper focused on right now. But this, when you listen to this, Termite and Penguin are going to be super excited because this is the week that Borderlands 3 finally drops after like 5 years. Woo!
Can't freaking wait.
Yeah,
Borderlands
it's gonna
3,
be awesome.
baby.
So we are celebrating that, and we're going to do everything Borderlands, which has been a highly requested episode from some of our listeners who are also Borderlands fans and know our Everything series and want us to do an Everything Borderlands where we just get it all out of our system.
Talk about everything. Borderlands.
Everything that we love about Borderlands. So
yes.
Cool. This has been a long time coming episode, I think, and it should be good. Tonight we are drinking. You got to tell me.
The best $18 bottle of bourbon you will ever find.
I'm about to try it.
And it's called Four Roses Bourbon. Don't know if you ever heard of it, but it is ridiculously good and high quality.
Oh, that's smooth.
You would never, ever guess that this cost $18.
$18, yeah. That's like...
I had a friend of the show, kind of, Jacob Hall.
Mm-hmm.
He...
kind of a friend.
Kind of a friend of the show. He's definitely a really close friend of mine and a supporter of us, regardless. But he recommended me that. I said, there's no way. Welcome to the ABC store. He's like, dude, there's this bourbon. You gotta... It's called Four Roses. I'm like, I never heard of it. He's like, you gotta try it. And I was like, whatever. So I go into the ABC store. I'm not convinced. I expect a plastic bottle on the bottom shelf for $18. No, he points it out and he's like, this is it. And I was like, okay, well, I've never seen this bottle, never heard of it before, so we'll take it home. We drank it. I was blown away immediately.
Yeah.
I was like, this is ridiculously good for $18.
Yeah.
Of course there's better bourbon. Of course Woodford Reserve, Jefferson's Reserve, Buffalo Trace,
but
stuff
for
we had on the show.
When you're...
But those are $30 to $60 bottles of bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
This is $18.
Yeah, you can get
for a
like
750 milliliter.
3 bottles of that for the same price as 1 bottle of that
Indeed.
other stuff.
So it depends on how you want to, throw your money around.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we're drinking tonight. It's
good.
It's kind of smooth. I'm not going to give it the most smoothest rating at all, but it does have that caramelly, sweet brown sugar kind of bourbon-y taste that most bourbons have.
Mm-hmm.
It's in that flavor profile. It smells like straight brown sugar, but then when you drink it, it's got more of a caramelly toffee taste to it.
Yeah, I can see that. It's good.
So delicious.
And I don't know if you have any news or updates, but I have something I want to talk about. So, does it have
3 letters and it rhymes with ow?
Yeah. Pow. So we talked about last week's episode. It was my favorite thing was the WoW classic stress test. So that's released yesterday. Yeah. So I've been playing that a little bit. But what I want to talk about is not so much the game itself, because you can hear my thoughts on that. Some of them are last episode, but more importantly, you can hear my thoughts on that by checking out our YouTube channel. I did a Twitch stream. So you can hear more about my thoughts on what I think the game means for the gaming industry. Really cool stuff. But I want to talk about the launch, because the launch...
Oh my goodness.
The launch is an interesting thing. Anytime a game like that launches, anytime an MMO launches, really, eyes are always on the developers, because how they handle a launch is very important, because whenever you have a game that's highly anticipated like that runs on servers, there's always a expectation that many people hitting the servers all at once is going to cause problems. So, Blizzard this isn't their first rodeo. They have their ways of dealing with it.
So they have a stress test.
So they have stress tests help, yeah.
Neat.
Which take care of it. They also have things like they have a process called layering, which is in modern WoW, but they've implemented it in classic WoW just for launch. And the way it works is like, instead of everybody entering on the same server all at once, they'll shard the server off. And so when a certain amount of people enter this instance of the server, spins off a new instance of the server to allow there to be less congestion. Mm-hmm. All that was supposed to work. On top of that, they kind of saw the writing on the wall, and they're like, we're going to open up a bunch of new servers right before launch. Yep. So that more people didn't have to wait in queue times.
To meet the expected demands.
Let's just say
they
still, despite all of those measures, despite all those precautionary measures, they still underestimated the amount of people who wanted to play that game. The highest demand servers on launch night had over 10,000 people in line just to enter the game. That's the queue time.
Yeah.
So there was something like 600 minutes I think was the highest number that I saw of estimated time to get into the game. As they were opening up more and more servers, you would see these servers go from low population to medium to high to full.
Like immediately.
Like within an hour of it being open.
Wow.
And I was lucky enough to get in to notice there was an announcement of a server that opened up 2 minutes. And then after 2 minutes, I was able to get on that server 2 minutes after they just opened it. So that was how I was able to play last night. So yeah, the next morning you log in, you see like all of them, but the like fullest of the full were low population again. So like that fluctuation, it's an interesting dilemma that Blizzard has, because on the one hand, they want to allow the people who want to play now to play.
Yeah.
The problem is, I would argue, and I might be wrong about this, and maybe the game's going to thrive like crazy, but I would argue that 40 to 70% of those people who logged in on opening night are by the end of the month are going to be gone.
Yeah.
Either they're going to quit or they're going to be back on retail WoW.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're going to be left with a bunch of servers that have super low populations and are quote dead servers. You can't raid on them because nobody's raiding. You can't do stuff on the auction house because nobody's buying because there's not enough people. And MMOs, as we talked about in our MMO episode, require people to thrive.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how Blizzard handles that. If there's a bunch of dead servers in a month, are they going to allow free transfers off of those servers? Are they going to merge servers? They've done that in the past where they've taken 2 servers and merged them into one. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that.
You brought up so many different things to talk about. One of them was the launch. Blizzard's history of launching new games.
Yeah.
This
hit or miss.
Yeah.
Hit or miss, to be fair.
Within each of the World of Warcraft expansions, there's been, 8? Of them now in the retail WoW world. Every single one of them have congestion issues on launch night that I've heard of, and I haven't followed
servers
them all.
crashing, just crashing.
They're
issues,
always bumpy right out of the gate. Diablo 3 was an absolute nightmare. There was people that couldn't even log into the game at all. It was
which is a single player game. People were crazy about it. You had to be online. Whereas every other Diablo, you were
Diablo 2 and Diablo 1, you could jump in and Diablo 2 was BattleNet enabled, and you could jump in online with your friends, and you could join your own little private servers with just the 2 or 3 or 4 of you. With Diablo 3, it was all DRM controlled online, and you couldn't even access the server to log in at all. And it's a completely single player game if you want it to be.
Right.
It was very egregious, and it was horrible, and Blizzard did not come out unscathed.
No.
It was bad.
Yeah.
And they just have this track record. It's kind of, what are you doing?
Right,
And they had the stress
you would have
test.
learned
they
after,
have the pre-order, or whatever equivalent to pre-orders on the digital.
They opened up, basically what they do is they opened up the servers. You could log into the server and get as far as the character creation page, and that was to reserve your name.
Yep.
So you could get in there, reserve your name. The only thing you couldn't do is the little button to enter world was grayed out. So you could get as far as that, and then that was as far as you could get. So they had some sense as to, obviously there were X amount of characters on every server. To mitigate that even more of the possibilities of that number being off, they limited you to 3 characters per account before launch. Now you can have 10, I think, but so that's even to say, it wasn't just the fact that you had someone who had 10 characters on an account and then times that by however many people.
Right.
No, it's literally just you're limited to 3, so maybe you have 3 characters on a given server, but it was nuts.
Wow.
So. Anyways, it's fun. It'll even out here in a little bit.
And the other point you mentioned was how much of a flash in the pan this is.
Yeah.
It's WoW Classic, right? Super hyped up. It's new. It's awesome. It's
new,
officially
it's old. Yeah.
It's
something old, something new. Yeah.
It's super nostalgic. It's almost 100% nostalgia. Let's go back to the World of Warcraft we knew in 2004, which is actually 2005.
2006 is probably closer. 5 or 6.
Yeah, because it's right before Burning Crusade, the first expansion. So it's all patched up till then. And let's go back to there and relive the music and the atmosphere and the graphics. It's all shallow.
And
it's all
terrible,
so shallow.
Terrible difficulty of everything you try to accomplish.
And how slow it is. You touched on it on our stream. You can see it on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/80bitpodsmash, where Penguin Man here did a live stream during the stress test, and he walked through and talked about all of how slower it is, how much more role-playing focused it was.
Yeah.
And all that stuff sounds so much more appealing to me now as a 30-some-year-old than it did when I was in high school as a senior. And so I understand the benefit of it, but you're right. It's really just going to be a flash in the pan. I don't think there's any depth to this at all. People are going to evacuate. They're going to go right back to either retail WoW or something else.
I disagree. I think
the only difference, like you mentioned last week, was the streamer community. Is the streamers might stay.
There's 1 million people watching the streams of WoW Classic right now. His Twitch will say how many people are watching this game, and split amongst all the streamers, there's 1 million people. I don't know of any game that I'm aware of that has ever had numbers that high. It's kind of crazy.
Fortnite probably did.
Well, this probably had it at various points. Yeah. I do disagree. I don't think it's and I talk about this on my stream. I don't think it's I don't think the entire game is a flash in the pan. I do think this much need of servers is a flash in the pan. There's going to be a good core.
And then what's going to happen when the server shut down?
Core. I think there's going to be a surprising number of people still playing the game after a month. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to be as big as it is right now. And that's the only difference.
Wasn't there like a more recent ability on the back end for them to merge servers that you don't really see? Like you log into a named server that's yours, but that server is linked with 3 or 4 other ones in like a cluster. And their auction houses are shared, but their
they do that.
Aren't.
They got rid of all that for Classic because, and
I know,
I'm
glad.
Saying. Yeah, I'm glad they did because that kind of ruins the idea of each server having its own identity.
Well, it was due to the declining subscription. It was due to the declining population. It was like, how can we get these low populated servers ingrained into the more greater WoW community?
Well, I was reading on Reddit, people were saying that the only reason that happened is because WoW grew so exponentially for so many years.
Yeah.
They kept growing 3 or 4 expansions into the game, 4 or 5 years into the game's life. They kept getting more subscribers and kept needing more and more servers.
Yeah.
And then there was a sudden drop off.
Right.
Suddenly, I forget which expansion it was. It was either
hardware
Cataclysm or Mist of Pandaria. Players started suddenly leaving in droves, and now they had all these servers and nobody populating them.
Right.
Yeah.
So we tricked everyone into thinking this was a Borderlands podcast, but really we're talking about the history of World of Warcraft.
Yeah, no, we'll go ahead and move on. I think that's a good way to segue off of it. But I did want to talk about how the launch and all the interesting implications.
It's a big thing that's happening right now in the gaming industry. It's post Gamescom, so there's not really a lot of news that's happened.
We covered a lot of the stuff from Gamescom in the last episode.
And so this is a good segue into, if you want to find the YouTube stream that Penguin Man did about WoW Classic to put a button or put a pin in this conversation. Like I said, youtube.com/80bitpodsmash. We have a new Discord server that's launched. There should be a link in every new episode, I think starting 2 weeks ago and then last week and then this one. In the episode description, you will see a link to our Discord. Jump in there, hang out with us, chat with us. We have multiple different channels. You can talk about different topics. It's new. We're getting set up. We're trying to establish the community, and we are going to share our own WoW Classic servers and information there. So if you want to play World of Warcraft with us,
if you're into it,
Termite,
hop on our Discord, start a conversation with us, and we'll
hook up.
We'll hook up. Yep.
And if you want to find us on any other platform, you can start with 80bitpodsmash.com. That's our landing website where we have links to Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio. If we're not on a platform you would like us to be for your podcast listening pleasure, please let us know, and we will put ourselves there for your convenience because we want to be everywhere. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, and Twitter, all 80BIT Podsmash. You can add us. You can post a comment in the subreddit and start a communication line with the world if you would like there. So
and
come
with that,
hang out with us and give us some feedback.
Absolutely. And with that, it's time for
Doing this podcast is our favorite thing. Doing this podcast is our favorite thing.
Nice, you got my win there. I was like, let's put some pizzazz
on. How many
we're
we gonna get
thinking on that. Yeah, favorite things, the next segment of our podcast where we update you with whatever our favorite thing is for the week. So we're hoping that you might find your next favorite thing. So I'll start. It's not WoW Classic. That was my last week.
How about that?
Macy, my wife, and I have been getting into a show called Veronica Mars, which is a show from the mid-2000s. It's got Kristen Bell in it, and I think that Kristen Bell is the real America's sweetheart. So step aside, Taylor Swift. Kristen Bell's America's sweetheart now.
I can't say words because this is a family-friendly podcast. You almost... What did you just say?
Wow, you got aggressive. Yes, Taylor Swift, step aside because the America's sweetheart is Kristen Bell. So
Kristen Bell's pretty awesome.
Veronica Mars is a great show.
We love Kristen Bell.
It's from the mid-2000s, so kind of like around the time Buffy was airing is when it started. It had 3 seasons, then it got canceled, and then Hulu recently picked it back up. So Hulu started a 4th season. It's pretty cool. I really enjoy the show. It's kind of like I didn't expect I would like it because it's kind of like she's a detective, like a private detective. And, I really like it's kind of got like a film noir vibe to it, but it's like California style. So it's like California in the mid 2000s. So California Kana, there's like Americana, I guess.
Yeah.
If California Kana is a word where it's just like that California culture. But then
what decade?
But like the mid 2000s, the aughts.
Okay.
So, and then it's kind of wrapped up in but it's still got this kind of film noir style where she'll narrate everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. So really great. Love Veronica Mars. If you haven't checked it out. I've heard
good things, and I love Kristen Bell.
Yeah,
so
definitely good show. So cool. What's your favorite thing?
My favorite thing was my wife and I celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary.
Woo, congratulations!
Thank you. And we had a dear friend of ours who is wife to Jacob, who we mentioned earlier, Colby, who decided that
was the weirdest way of introducing.
I like my words just stopped. So it's like you turn these mics on and you get live and you just burp and you have no idea what's going on anymore. Your words just leave you.
Yeah.
So Colby set us up with all of our friends at a brewery, and we went to Strange Ways here in Fredericksburg, and we had beer, and they had a mediocre at best barbecue spread of food, which was kind of overpriced. But regardless of how the food wasn't great, everything about the event was awesome. We had all of our friends together. We were all drinking beers and having good conversations, and we were able to celebrate with Kevin, also a friend of the show, and his newlywed wife. So it was great celebrations all around. It was just a really good night out, and it was awesome.
Man, you just don't know how to like describe other people's spouses, do you?
I don't. I'm just going to continue to be like awkward.
Super awkward. Just like instead of, that person's wife, just like newlywed wife person of interest in marital nuptials. This is Termite for you.
And you had your 5-year anniversary.
We did,
recently.
We're kind of doing it in 2 parts because we've been married long enough that like we've said all these things that we wanted to do, and we've done like 30% of them. You know what I mean? One of the things we talked about doing for a long time is going like on a ski trip somewhere, but the problem is our anniversary's in
June,
the middle of August. Yeah, or the end of August.
I'm dumb.
So,
we got married really close together.
Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm. So, but like 5 years apart.
Right.
So we want to do a ski trip. And so we're going to do that we're going to save money and do that in the winter. And then, so this year we just went to King's Dominion. Since it's right down the road. We still haven't been since we moved into our house right down the road from King's Dominion. So that was a lot of fun. So rode some roller coasters, got sunburned. You can still probably see them sunburned on the top of my head. Oh, I was much redder like 2 days ago.
I saw.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did see. So cool. So that's good. Yay, anniversaries. Yay, celebrations.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right. So that moves us to our next segment of our show. DLC stands for
downloadable content.
Downloadable content is the next segment of our show, where we have a little conversational discussion around video games that you wouldn't normally have. It's supposed to be more fun and lighthearted, and since we're talking about Borderlands, it is a tradition. Head to head, Borderlands trivia, 5 questions, with maybe a 6th question thrown in there if needed.
And this is where we need help from you, the audience.
Yeah.
We don't know where we stand as far as who wins.
I'm pretty sure I'm winning. I think I'm winning.
I would not disagree with you. I think you're winning too.
I think I'm ahead by like really 1 or 2. Yeah.
If we had someone in the community go back through our everything video game franchises.
Right, there's only like 7 of them, so.
Yeah, it would be pretty quick, all in the DLC segment, and listen to us do these trivias and figure out who's the winner and tally up our points and let us know how far ahead are you, Penguin Man. Yeah. How can you breathe bourbon?
I don't know. I must be some kind of alien.
Yes.
Yep.
You don't have gills for
lungs. I don't have bourbon gills.
Borderlands trivia. You don't have what?
That's the superpower that I want.
Borderlands gills?
No, bourbon gills.
Oh.
All right, Borderlands trivia. As the reigning champ, I will go ahead and start.
All right, lay it on me. You're going to destroy me.
All right.
I know nothing about Borderlands.
Borderlands trivia. Here we go. Question number 1, Penguin and Termite. Lilith's character design used to be completely different. What character ended up with Lilith's original design?
Ooh. So they kept it in the game?
They kept the design in the game. What character has Lilith's original?
Does this character... I know I'm not even supposed to do this, but does she exist through multiple games? Or is it just Borderlands 1?
I will not answer this.
Dang it.
It's too much of a hint.
Tiny Tina?
Nope. Commandant Steele, the first bad guy in the first game. She is also a siren, but she never uses her siren powers.
Interesting.
In Borderlands 1, yes. But she's technically canonically, she is one of the 6 sirens. Well, not anymore. But.
You just wrecked my first question.
Uh-oh. Did I get it right?
Yes, but I'm not going to give it to you because I'm not even going to read it. So I'm going to skip that question.
There are 6 sirens in the Borderlands universe.
I know. Well, yeah, you already. Yeah, and that was okay. So I'm going to skip my first question. Luckily, I have a backup.
Awesome. So, I feel like I should get points for that if I.
That was pretty sweet. That was pretty awesome. All right, so now I have a bonus section here for you.
All right.
Not on this question. Okay. The name Handsome Jack was a placeholder taken from where?
Doctor Who from Jack Harkness.
Yay!
Who is a handsome
you should know
character.
that. It was hand given to you. Love your Doctor Who aficionado.
I actually almost included that one, but I didn't include it because I knew you weren't a Doctor Who fan.
I'm going to read the whole answer because it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The game writer Anthony Birch originally intended Handsome Jack, quote, a reference to Doctor Who companion Captain Jack Harkness, to simply be a placeholder name. However, the name proved popular among the production team and they decided to keep it.
Yep.
All right.
Nice.
So you get 1.
Yeah.
Penguin Man 1, Termite, nothing.
All right. Well, you might get this one based on the answer you just gave.
Oh, yeah?
Which character is voiced by the sister of the lead writer?
Moxie.
Is that your final answer?
No, because you're giving me a funny look like it's completely off. And I might get the... Why'd you even say that?
Second chance, fine.
Lilith?
We'll consider it a half right. No, it's Tiny Tina.
Oh,
it's voiced by Ashley Birch.
I should have known that because
Exactly,
she did.
You just said
Aloy.
Anthony Birch, and yes,
Yeah, I'm stupid.
it's okay.
I don't know actress's name.
You just got you just got to take your time. Take your time to answer the question. Don't go with your gut.
Right. So the game writers, what relationship to the game writer? Are they married?
There's brother and sister.
Brother and sister.
Yeah, brother and sister.
And you said sister to the game writer.
Sister to the lead game writer, yes.
Which would have been the last name.
Ashley
I would have never
Birch
got that.
And Anthony Birch.
Even if I'd have put all that together, I would have never got
funny.
it. Yeah. Okay. Question number 2. What was Borderlands 1 entered into the Guinness Book of World Records for? And this is where you have a bonus answer. So first answer the first one, and if you get that right...
Is it for the number of guns in a game?
Yes! Good job. So now you have 2.
Uh-huh.
The bonus is how many?
16,164,866.
It's a very specifically wrong answer.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Which game?
Borderlands 1. That's what I said.
Borderlands 1?
Yeah. That's a very specific wrong answer.
It's because it's the right answer.
But I looked it up.
How many are
17,750,000.
Interesting. Was that the number given by
the Guinness Book of World Records?
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we might have some interesting conflicts.
It was
here.
only a bonus, which would have been a half a point.
Okay.
But
all right.
That's interesting that 16. You had a very specific number. I mean, this is kind of rounded, right?
That's cool. We'll carry on.
Right.
Anyways, okay, but I was right. I get 1 point for the.
Yeah,
I'll get 1 point for the.
So you have 2 points. I have
points.
nothing.
All right. Right. Number 3. In Borderlands 2, there's a mission called Splinter Group.
Yes.
What pop culture...
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There you go. You got it.
Yes. That's like my favorite quest. So if I'm going to remember one thing about that game, it is that
Teenage
quest.
Mutant Ninja Turtle quest. Great. Good job.
All right. 2-1.
Uh-huh.
All right. We know the intro song for Borderlands 1. Ain't No Rest for the Wicked by Cage the Elephant. What's the intro song to Borderlands 2?
I don't know. I'm blanking.
Yes!
I'm blanking. I don't
thought
think
you might have this.
I don't think I was familiar enough with the actual song. So what is it?
The intro song of Borderlands 2 is Short Change Hero by The Heavy.
Oh, I wouldn't have gotten the artist. I might have if I dug deep. I might have gotten Short Change Hero because once you said it, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. But yeah. Okay, good, cool, awesome. I did get one. I'm not perfect.
2-1? Is that where we're at?
2-1, yeah.
All right.
All right. So you're still in it. You're not out. So which 2 Vault Hunters from the pre-sequel are bosses in Borderlands 2?
Wilhelm? That's it. Thank you. Wilhelm and Atlas? What's her name? The assassin with the shield. Athena. That's it.
Okay. That is incorrect.
Dang it.
But I'll give you half credit. You were right about Wilhelm.
Yeah.
But Nisha is a boss in Borderlands 2.
It was a 50-50.
Athena was a like NPC character in Borderlands 1's DLC, the General Knox DLC. Yeah,
that's where I got it all confused.
But you never fight her. You never actually fight her.
That was a half.
But you get half.
2 to 1.5.
2 to 1.5.
Right.
So you're still in it.
All right, ready?
Yep.
What is Brick's dog's name?
Oh, good pull.
Brick is a Vault Hunter in Borderlands 1.
Yeah, Brick's Vault and his dog. I know. You see, here's the. I know like various facts. Nisha killed the dog. I know that, but I don't know his name, so I'll have to guess.
I'll
have to guess
half of the answer and then accept the name itself, and maybe I'll give you a little clue, but I don't think so. According to the intro scene, where Marcus Kincaid is telling the story of the vault, Brick had a dog named... So at least I told you where the information is. Maybe it'll jog your memory?
No, it's not, but I'll say just Rex.
No.
Okay.
It's Priscilla.
Oh, yes, yep. Didn't know that. Yes. I've got it. All right. 2 to 1.5. All right. Yep. All right. So final question here. You see, here's where it gets weird. Borderlands 1 was advertised as having 87 bazillion guns. Obviously a made up number. How many guns were actually in the game?
Yeah, and that's where I have my number.
You see, so my number was... Obviously, you don't have to say the exact number.
Yours was like 16 million.
Yeah, that's close enough. I'll accept that because it says 16,164,866.
Yeah.
You see, there was a disagreement because I saw that, I didn't know there was a disagreement, but Randy Pitchford said there were 17 million. Yeah. Which is what closer to what your answer was.
And if you round up, it's actually 18.
But apparently the actual number was 16 million. And that was what I said is a very specific number.
Yeah.
I'll accept it. You have 2.5 points.
To your 2. You're going to get this one. 2. Okay. I promise you. Right. This was my 6th question, my extra one.
Yeah.
So All 3 existing Borderlands titles were developed by Gearbox Software. What is the only other now shut down studio to work on Borderlands?
2K Australia.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what game did they work on?
Pre-sequel.
Yeah. So that's 3.5 to 2.
That's funny. Yay! I win! Was it 3.5?
Or 3 to 2.5.
3 to 2.5.
Yeah.
Oh, close.
Half a point.
Close.
It's the closest one yet.
Penguin holds his title. That was the closest one yet.
How is it that, like, this is the least known franchise I have, and yet I'm the closest
Really?
to
This is the least known franchise? Yeah, I guess so.
Of all of my fandom.
Many of them. Yeah, many of them.
But you destroyed me in all of them. And I'm super knowledgeable in other
there
ones.
was some. You crushed me in Mario. I didn't know. I know Mario was the first, because Mario is like, it was like Zelda and Mario were the first ones, right? I barely pulled off a win in Zelda.
Well, yeah, you beat me in Pokemon.
I did beat you in Pokemon.
And how do you, like, I played every one of them.
Hey, as we've learned, it is not a matter of knowledge of the trivia. The skill in trivia is the pull of the questions. So we're still on even footing.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how far you go to look for the information. Right. Yeah.
And exactly. That's true. I have held back on some of the crazy that you can go real deep in.
So, and I've gone crazy on some of them. So
I still think
remember that question I had where like, what was the personality of Nathan Drake based on in the Uncharted episode?
Yep.
It was like,
that was deep.
Really obscure. It was like Johnny Knoxville and Nathan Fillion.
And the funny part was I saw it. Like I knew that and I didn't answer correctly.
Right. Yeah.
It happens.
I hate when that happens. Yeah. Like I saw the freaking name of it was like one of the spin-off games for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And I saw it. I knew it. I was like, but I was not a piece that I...
And everything Mortal Kombat?
We did do everything. That was like the last one we did. That was the most recent one. Because I know because I copied the notes from that, and so I had to replace Mortal Kombat a million times with Borderlands.
That's right, because we sang the song, and Mortal Kombat 11 came out. Oh, I want that game so bad.
Yeah, good times.
Yep.
All right. So everything Borderlands. Everything Borderlands. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, I mean, let's start at the beginning, where we always start.
What kind of
What's
game?
Borderlands?
What is it?
Yep, what is it?
What is it?
What is it?
What?
You tell me.
What?
You tell me.
It started as this super post-apocalyptic, very gray, brown game.
It was like
where
I just heard it described as Firefly mixed with Mad Max.
Yeah. And then they've kind of colorified it and stylized it with cell shading, and it's basically it's a first-person shooter, looter shooter. It is the origin.
It's the first looter shooter.
Yeah, it's the origin of all the looter shooter genres. We would not have Destiny. We would not have The Division. We would not have Anthem, despite how bad that was.
Yeah.
If it was not for Borderlands. So it's a first-person shooter with RPG mechanics. It was the first of its kind.
Yeah, I was going to say
when you shoot enemies, numbers come out. And you're like, what?
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess the conceit of it was like, hey, let's take first-person shooters and marry them with RPGs. Because typically with first-person shooters, like, the sniper rifle, the shotgun, the pistol, it's like one gun you get and it does fixed amount of damage. With Borderlands, it was like, you might get a pistol that does like 10 times the amount of damage as your sniper rifle, and it also will electrocute enemies, and your sniper rifle might like spawn sheep that run at the enemies and explode. Like, they just took this idea of like RPG loot from like Diablo, and then they married it with like the World of Warcraft skill trees.
Yep, because they added skill trees in for
and then
each
they were
class,
like, hey, but this game's a first-person shooter. Like,
right.
So that's exactly how the game kind of was like, like the engine of the game is a first-person shooter.
I cannot stress enough, this is the very first of anything close to this kind of game. When it first came out, I had no idea because I didn't follow it at all. I knew it had this pre-announcement trailer thing that does exist today. You can go see it. It has nothing to do with what Borderlands actually is. It's so different. They pivoted at some point. And so I don't remember how I first came across it. I think
we'll get to that. That's another question. Yeah.
All right. So what is Borderlands?
So what is Borderlands? I mean, so on top of what the like game genre is, like like you said, the styles is very highly stylized game with the cell shading. It's got a very specific like punk. It's like punk mixed with like country mixed with like rock and roll like style to it, like not just the cell shading, but it's very like all the characters are very stylized, very gritty Mad Maxy kind of feel,
right?
Mixed with like this weird like backwoods
kind of country vibe,
grunge country, It's a really very unique style.
Their humor is very irreverent.
It's a comedy game.
It's hilarious.
It's a very like kind of like a weird mix of like meme humor from the late 2000s and the early 2010s mixed with like a very irreverent. The jokes are very hit or miss among the community. Some people love them, some people hate them, some people love some jokes and hate others, you know. So it's definitely a comedy game, though. I would root it firmly in the camp of like they're trying to make you laugh.
Yep.
And it's the basic story is that like in the future, like the central government has collapsed and the world's been taken over by these corporations, all of which are gun manufacturers, of course, because it's a game about looting guns. And so these various gun manufacturers have taken over the world. One of them discovered a vault that was contained all these alien artifacts and became super rich off of it. And so the first game takes place with a group of characters that are called Vault Hunters trying to find a vault on this backwoods planet called Pandora.
Yep.
And that's
so it has the sci-fi element too. We've not described that.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, that's like you're on a planet called Pandora. So obviously there's the fact that they're calling out as a different planet and they actually reference things like the moon. And later we see in the prequel in Borderlands 2, there's other planets, there's other things in space. So now that's where the Firefly reference comes in because it has that same tone.
Right. Yeah. We could have described a game up to this point that you would have thought is maybe like a weird mix of like Red Dead Redemption and World of Warcraft. But no. And though it has elements of actually both of those games and that feel to it, it is also very much a space sci-fi. You get later games, you get laser weapons. It's you're fighting aliens at points. And
they teleport all over the place. So it's got the sci-fi stuff. It's kind of open world. It's very linear in its quest line and side quests, but it gives you the appeal. It was very open world for its time.
I was gonna say it's kind of like Zelda, where the open world is like a bunch of maps strung together, some of which are really broad, some of which are really narrow,
and it's not truly open world as we know today because you can't go in any order you want. You still got to follow the quest line.
Cool. So that's what Borderlands is kind of in a nutshell. Its history, you kind of touched on it. Game came out in 2009, I want to say.
That sounds right.
Yeah, 2009. The sequel, Borderlands 2, came out in 2012.
Yep.
Followed quickly using the same engine by a pre-sequel in 2014. And then Tales from the Borderlands, its episodes released.
Is that Telltale Games?
So that is Telltale Games. It's technically a spin-off. Usually, and we usually talk about spin-offs, but it's the only spin-off.
Yeah.
And canonically, its story is as valid. Everything that happens in Tales from the Borderlands is canonical, and it's going to be referenced in Borderlands 3, stuff that happens. So, in fact, it's referenced, the stuff that happens in Borderlands, Tales from the Borderlands, is directly referenced in the Commander Lilith DLC.
Right. So I was about to say that. Borderlands 2 announced at E3 that there was this free DLC for Borderlands 2. Again, unprecedented. No one's ever done this. They've added to a very old game for the PS4, Xbox One.
Yeah, added content.
Added new content as DLC to an existing game that bridges the gap between 2 and 3 with added more story, knowing that the Tales from the Borderlands series has happened and players have done that, experienced the content, and it is canon, so it's there and it's referenced. I haven't done any of that stuff yet. It's the only Borderlands I haven't touched.
We'll talk about the at some point we should hit on the chronology of Borderlands because it's if
Why you not right now, right?
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll talk about
the history of it. Let's go.
Chronologically, it introduces like really strange chronology because every release of Borderlands, the content of the game is meant to be consumed chronologically as it was released. So, Borderlands 1's the first game. The events of Borderlands 1. Happen, yes.
Yep.
The events of Borderlands 2 happen after Borderlands 1, a few years after Borderlands 1. Pre-sequel comes out, and though the majority of the events happen
between 1 and 2.
This
is why it's called the
pre-sequel.
Yeah.
The game is framed by a storyline where that happens after. So it's basically Borderlands pre-sequel is a character telling the story of what happened in the past, between the games. So it's cool. That's confusing, but the fact is, it actually makes it so that pre-sequel should be played after 2. It should be kind of played almost like a DLC where it's telling you the story of what happened before, but it's meant to be consumed within the context of Borderlands 2. But if you want to actually look at the events, it's like the events of Borderlands 1 happen, the events of the majority of pre-sequel happen, Borderlands 2 happens, then there's 3 episodes of Tales from the Borderlands that actually happen before Athena's captured and then tells the story.
That's kind of confusing.
So you're supposed to actually, so there's 3 episodes. So actually it's supposed to be Borderlands 1 pre-sequel, Borderlands 2
up until before Athena gets captured.
Half of the Borderlands 2 DLCs, because there's a ton of DLCs that came out that were all chronologically referencing things that happened in Borderlands 2.
Right.
Then 3 of the Tales from the Borderlands, then the framing device of Borderlands pre-sequel, then the last 2 episodes of Tales from the Borderlands, then Borderlands 3 finally.
And don't forget the
Commander Lilith DLC, and then
Borderlands 3.
Exactly.
Wow.
So
just go play it in the order it was released.
Play it in the order it was released.
Yes. 1, all of its DLC.
Play the DLCs,
2, all of its DLC. Pre-sequel, all of its DLC.
Yeah.
Tales of the Borderlands.
Just Tales of the Borderlands, and then played Borderlands 3. Yeah, exactly. So things will
right.
I've
platinumed Borderlands 1. I'm working through the platinum of Pre-sequel, I've gotten lazy and haven't finished that. And I plan to platinum 2, but I'm out of time. It's like, the episode's coming, the game's coming this week. It's not going to happen.
This week, I platinum 2 and pre-sequel over the summer. But he's got me on 1 because I don't have a physical copy of it for PlayStation. At some point, I'll probably borrow it from you.
The digital one was on sale for $20.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
And it'll probably go on sale again.
I think I saw the physical one on sale.
Yeah, it was.
For really cheap,
for
too.
20. Yep.
So, at some point, I'll either get a hold of it or I'll borrow yours.
It's so quick.
And I'll just
That's one of the easiest platinums I have.
Yeah. 2 and pre-sequel are a pain to platinum. And they even made 2 a lot easier by giving you the boosts on the DLC, recently, character DLC. Yeah. But still, it's a pain because of the challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Borderlands. Yeah, that's Borderlands. What was your first experience with Borderlands? That's why I wanted to delay.
I remember being in an apartment, just got married. And I experienced Borderlands. I was working in the mall Starbucks with friend of the show, Ryan. He was a manager, and there was this store in the mall. He can remember this, and it'd be awesome to think about it. It was this store called Gamepad, and it's where you could walk in, and it had some retro games for sale, or you could buy time on a wall of Xbox 360s and PS3s.
Yeah.
And we actually went as a group multiple times to buy time to play Left 4 Dead on Xbox 360. Because I was playing Left 4 Dead on PC primarily.
Yeah.
As a Valve fanboy, PC master race. That was my time to do that. And I'm ashamed of that now. But I would go there as a group with friends, Ryan included, and we would play Left 4 Dead. Well, Borderlands came out. And I was like, oh, this is neat. People were playing it and talking about it. I don't know anything about this. Let me go on my break from work and I'll play a little bit of Borderlands. I immediately said, I need to buy this game. This is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced in my life. I've never done a first-person shooter that had RPG mechanics. I love RPGs. I'm obsessed with World of Warcraft at this time. I love skill trees, classes, and then I'm lighting enemies on fire, and the dialogue is awesome, and this live action stuff. I mean, it's all voice acted. These quest lines are hilarious. The humor's great. The world is just... I want everything about this game. Yeah. And then I remember there was a Game Informer magazine. I still have it on the shelf, and I was reading through it, and the more I just inundated myself with this game, I needed it.
Yeah.
And I finally bought it, and then all of our friends were just bitten by the Borderlands bug.
Borderlands bug.
And,
that's a good way to put it.
It was before you.
Yeah, way
but
before me.
Same friends that you know that I hang out with today. And it kind of a testimony to how awesome my friends are. We've been friends that long. We all were playing Borderlands 1 at various people's houses, playing split screen. This was the time when the Xbox 360 had a memory card. Nice. And you save everything, including your profile, to a memory card, so you could take it to all your friend's house and pick up where you left off. My brother got involved. He was on the show once. It was just this mania of Borderlands, and that's all we did was just play Borderlands. Whether it was online, on each other's couches, split screen. I just remember the winter after it came out. We were at our friend Nathan's house. It was super cold because he couldn't afford heat.
Yeah.
So it would just be we're wrapped in 3 blankets on each other's couch. They did this rigged up stadium seating where they built a wooden box and set a couch on top of it. So it was higher than the one in front of it. Yeah. And we would play Borderlands on this big TV. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
So we have so many good memories of Borderlands because not only was it new in the whole RPG mechanics, but it was really, really well done with split screen and co-op.
Yeah.
Because it's 4-player co-op.
Game.
It was so good.
Yeah. My first experience was much, much later because, like most things, even though the game came out around the time when both of us would have been adults, I would have been 19 years old in 2009. 2009, however, was the height of the WoW craze for me. So Wrath of the Lich King would have been coming out or just out, I think, is when that game. Yeah. Yep. So it would have been around that time. So I would have been nowhere near Borderlands. So I was exposed to Borderlands. I had a roommate. So shout out to Nate. He's one of my best friends, was one of the best men in my wedding. Awesome dude.
He's helped us out.
And he's helped us out, with some legal stuff because he's a lawyer now, soulless B word. So I love him. I say that lovingly.
Oh, you're calling him that?
I'm calling him a soulless B word, yes. So he's
it sounded like you said sold us.
Sold us?
Sold us B word. I'm like, what? Anyway.
I love him.
He has
no soul because he's a lawyer, yeah. Love you, Nate. So if you ever listen to this, I hope I don't offend you, but he's
building you up well.
He introduced me to Borderlands when we were living together. So, but even then I was still, I don't remember what I was against it for, but even I remember my very first exposure to Borderlands was him. I think he was playing 1 because it was around the time 2 came out. So it was right before 2 came out. And I remember him fighting what I now recognize as a skag. But at the time I was like, it's some kind of big dog dragon creature that he was fighting. And, I was just like, okay, whatever. I saw that there was the monster had a level, and I saw that loot drop. So I remember seeing these specific things. And then I eventually was like, okay, well, he loves this game so much. This was like a year or two. This must have been like a year after Borderlands 1 came out, or like maybe 8 or 9 months. Cause like most of the DLC was out. The Game of the Year edition had dropped and it came on Steam.
You were very late.
Yeah.
And you were on PC?
Yeah. And it came on. It came on. Yeah. I was still playing PC at that time. Didn't have my PlayStation. Didn't have any PlayStation consoles.
You mean Xbox 360? That's where everyone was.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Except
so
you.
I grabbed it. Nope. I was on Steam where a lot of people were too.
Yeah, I know.
And I grabbed it for like $5 the whole game.
Yeah.
So, and I still was like, I started playing it and I still just wasn't hooked by it. And I don't know when it was. It was just like it clicked one day. I guess I just no other games to play, and I was like, I should probably finish Borderlands. And I was like, I get it. I get this game now, and I loved it. Played it I think I played through True Vault Hunter mode, loved it. And it wasn't until then in 2014 pre-sequel came out, and that's when I was like, I love this game. I love Borderlands 2, so I'm gonna get pre-sequel, and I binged the crap out of pre-sequel. Loved it. Pre-sequel, you may remember this because this was around because at this point I had been here in Fredericksburg. Pre-sequel came out in 2014, so that was the year I got married.
Okay.
I got halfway through pre-sequel before I severed my tendon. Remember that?
Really?
Yeah. So I had to
remember
stop
your tendon
playing pre-sequel because I could not.
And that was your first time through the pre-sequel?
Yeah. And I was like wrapped up, couldn't move my finger. Yeah.
You cut yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. I severed my tendon. Couldn't play games.
Not on purpose.
No, it was an accident. So it was pretty funny. So yeah, those are my Borderlands experiences. So let's move into this next part because this is going to be the meat of our podcast and we're already 40 minutes in because we love Borderlands.
What, are you scared?
So let's talk about favorites and rankings. So this is a section of our everything episodes where we go in and just talk about the various things that are our favorites. So we'll start with favorite game. Favorite game in the main series.
2.
Borderlands
2.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
They just, the skill trees were more fleshed out. The characters were better, and then it's got one of the greatest DLCs of all time, which is Tiny Tina's
Oh my
DLC.
gosh.
Yeah.
What was it called? The official name?
The Assault on Dragon Keep.
Yeah, Assault on Dragon Keep. It was so good.
It's so good.
What was the game they were playing? It's not Dungeons and Dragons. It's
Bunkers and Badasses.
Bunkers and Badasses. It was so good.
So fun.
I like to, and the only reason why I don't like the pre-sequel, which is the only official title released after it, you would think it would be better because they would have done some quality of life improvements, which they did.
Yeah.
I cannot stand the level design in the pre-sequel. Yeah. The moon with the verticality or the poorly designed verticality drives me up the wall.
It is definitely a weak point in an otherwise very good game because I would argue that
I like the classes in the pre-sequel better.
Yeah, I was gonna say I will honorable mention the classes. The class design is phenomenal. The guns are really good too.
Yeah.
But both the level design and the content, unfortunately the game didn't do well enough to release more content, whereas Borderlands 2 is supported by all this content. They added bosses, they added stuff to do in the end game. You don't have that same kind of support in Borderlands pre-sequel, and therefore it just kind of falls flat. You kind of feel like you're just playing the same story over and over again.
I also have some nostalgia of personal events around too. I just bought this house that we're sitting in now, and we were in the middle. We all had experience. All of my friends, this is all of you guys, if you listen to us, was all into Borderlands 1 so much that when 2 was announced, we were all hyped up together.
Yeah,
so much that we all got a game at midnight. Came back to my house with multiple Xboxes and TVs set up, and we were doing split screen LAN party, and we played the crap out of some Borderlands 2. Yeah. And then we went on vacation with my family where I got to play with my brother a ton. And it was awesome. Yeah. And just the hype around it. It was the first title. It was the biggest increment from 1 to 2. Was the biggest jump because 2 to pre-sequel were almost the same. Yep. So it was like a huge improvement. It was like the GUI looked better. Yep. The class were, like you said, were fleshed out more. Yeah. The loot system was better. The map and how the mini map worked was better. Yep. Quest trackers were existent. And there's so many.
It's funny because when you go back and play Borderlands 2 now, all that still seems dated.
Yeah, all of it's dated, including the pre-sequel.
But at the time, it was so much better than what it was
way
before.
Better. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to favorites, because this is very connected. So what is your favorite? Who is your favorite Vault Hunter of all of the playable Vault Hunters? So the 4 in 1, the 6 in 2, and the 6 in pre-sequel. So that's you have 20 Vault Hunters to choose from. Who is your single favorite Vault Hunter? And it could be you can make your decision based on personality. You can make your decision based on the skill trees and all that stuff. I think I know your favorite, but I'm willing to be
surprised. Who would you think it is?
I would think Lilith, because you love Lilith.
That's my boo.
You love Lilith. Yeah.
She was my OG boo.
Yeah. Lilith, I never played Lilith, so I can't really speak as to her play style. My favorite would be, it's a bit of a toss-up for different reasons, but I would say it's a toss-up between Gage from Borderlands 2 the Necromancer, I should say, in Borderlands 2, or Athena from pre-sequel.
Athena was awesome.
I love Athena.
Yeah, Athena was great.
Athena's character design is incredible. Her personality is a bit like a wet piece of cardboard.
Right.
She does not really have much of a personality, although she is the game's only lesbian character, I believe. Playable lesbian character.
Oh, which is funny because there's what's her face? What in the beginning of the pre-sequel?
Janie Springs, yeah.
Springs,
and they flirt.
That's it.
Yeah,
and
the entire game they end up getting married.
So
spoilers.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's funny. In where? What game?
Tales of the Borderlands.
I've done it yet. Okay, it's funny. There's pretty much all of Tales of the Borderlands story beats have now been spoiled for me. So thank you.
Sorry,
but it's interesting because another unique thing about Borderlands for its time was that if you choose a different Vault Hunter, you get their dialogue and their perspective in through the whole story.
Yeah, that wasn't until DLCs of Borderlands 2. You don't see pre-sequel. It. And pre-sequel for sure. Yeah, they fleshed it out more.
And it's supposedly
but
crazy
again, depending on what character you played, there would be different dialogue options. And in 3, it's supposed to be very fleshed out.
Yeah,
so,
and 3, they're actually touting as a replayability factor for 3. You want to play through with everyone because the dialogue is that much different.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And so I played Athena in pre-sequel secondly. I played Nisha first.
Yeah.
And she's awesome.
So I do want to talk about Nisha is great too. Yeah. But I hate her character. Her personality.
And I played Maya.
Maya's great too, yeah. So I do want to talk about Gage though real quick because I love Gage's personality. She's voiced by one of my favorite voice actresses of anime, Shirami Lee. And the character design, I don't love her action ability. Death Trap's kind of boring. You just summon him and he goes around and thwack stuff. But I love Anarchy, and I love she has a talent called Close Enough, which Close Enough will bullets will ricochet off of walls towards near enemies. Yeah. Towards nearest enemies. So you can just shoot at the ground and it'll do damage to everything near you. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Anarchy, basically the way it works is you never want to reload as Gage. Manually reload. So it introduces this whole mechanic where every time she automatically reloads when you run out of ammo, you get a stack of Anarchy, and when you get 200 stacks of Anarchy, you're doing it increases your damage by 1%, but when you have 200 stacks, you've reloaded 200 times.
Yeah.
It's 200% damage. It's nuts. So she's crazy. I love Gage. The whole idea of the Necromancer is awesome to me. I also Necromancer is genius. Yeah. So cool. So those are my Vault Hunter choices. Favorite non-Vault Hunter characters. So favorite characters that are not playable.
Oh my gosh, Ellie.
Ellie is your favorite?
And Scooter. Ellie and Scooter are so freaking funny.
They are good. Scooter is amazing.
And they're brother and sister. Yeah. And are they kids of Moxie?
Yes, they are Moxie's
children. Every time Scooter or Ellie open their mouth, I die laughing more than anyone else.
That's good. That's a good pull. I have a very, very soft spot for Scooter specifically. Ellie, not so much. But, I like Ellie.
Are you going to spoil that too?
Yeah.
About Scooter?
About Scooter? Yeah. I suppose I'll avoid it. My favorite character is Tiny Tina. Tina.
Oh my gosh.
Tiny Tina
and
Tiny Tina, if I can pick two, I'll say Tiny Tina and Mr. Torg. The two of those characters.
Oh my gosh.
Mr. Torg, yes. Yeah. Mr. Torg is the CEO of the Torg Corporation, which is one of the gun manufacturers you can get. And the whole thing about Torg manufacturers is it's always an explosive weapon. Yep. And his whole thing, he's this over the top. He's like a wrestler, like a monster truck.
He's Macho Man Randy Savage. He is. He really is. I got you for 3 minutes.
And he's his whole thing is whenever you see his text written out, it's in all caps because he's just yelling everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Explosions!
And he hates lasers and it's so funny. So you've listed all of my favorite characters, of the 4 we just talked about. So there's Ellie and Scooter, and then there's Tiny Tina and Torg.
Yeah, Tiny Tina is a demolitions expert who is at the time of Borderlands 2 13 years old. Yeah. And so she's this little girl who is insane, clinically insane, and she's the group's, the team's demolitions expert. So she's always putting together
you got a booty like pal.
Yeah. That's
so she's got the hip hop influence, and she does the voice actress is Ashley Burch, and she's awesome, and she gets all of the hip hop references and plays on that.
Delivery is perfect.
Delivery is awesome, and I've for some reason Scooter and Ellie came to my mind first when you said favorites, and there's something to be said about your impulsive answer. But the more I think about it, Torg, he got old pretty quick. Really? His jokes were really freaking funny one time. And then once you play through them again, it's it's kind of funny still, and then he kind of died off.
He didn't die off for me. I don't have that reaction.
Are always funny. I can go back and play.
See, I love Torg because he seems like a character that would be so over the top and incredibly sexist and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But he has this one of my favorite lines is the most badass thing is respecting women.
Yeah, yep.
So good. Yeah, I personally, I am always tickled by Mr. Torg. Yeah, Tiny Tina, the great thing about Tiny Tina, though, is they, like, add depth to her character she's actually one of the most, like, well-developed characters in any game I've ever played, thanks to the Tiny Tina DLC, where she actually goes through the, like, five stages of grief.
Yep.
At the death of Roland. Spoilers for a,
more spoilers.
5-year-old game.
Hangman's just spoiling it all.
Yeah.
If you never played it, you're screwed.
Sorry, lots of Borderlands spoilers. We'll put it in the episode notes. There's lots of spoilers here. All right, cool. Moving on, though. We've got lots more favorites.
Another question?
Yeah, we got tons. Favorite action skill and or game-changing talent.
Ooh.
If you need time to think, I'll start.
This is my, I'm gonna give you a little Termite Penguin Man difference here.
Okay.
So I don't think about that aspect of games as much as you do.
Oh, yeah?
And so, like, when I think of an ability, I'm like, in the moment of playing it, I want to use it. Is it effective? And if it is, I'll keep going that way, and I won't think about anything else. I'll just pick one, it works, and I'll just go with it.
Yeah.
And you are super exploratory, and you want to know and tweak everything.
I want to know what's interesting.
Right.
I want difference in gameplay, because I've done the thing where I've shot a fireball at an enemy 1,000,000 times. I want my fireball to, like, bounce between enemies and change elements per bounce, because that's interesting to me.
And
so
that's the context for our answer. So you can go first.
Yeah, I'll go first.
I will promise our audience that Penguin Man's choice will be much more creative and fleshed out than mine will be.
I have a handful of answers, but I'll try to be as succinct as possible. I would say my single favorite ability in the game is Athena's, because she was one of my favorite Vault Hunters. Athena's action skill is probably the most unique. She pulls up a buckler shield that absorbs all front-facing damage,
which is so helpful.
And then once it's expired, or when you can click a button to launch it, but she'll throw the shield forward, Captain America style, and it'll do damage based on the amount of damage it absorbed, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So I love that action skill. Where it gets better is when you go through her talent trees, you can spec it out to bounce like Captain America's shield to all nearby enemies. And midway through one of her other trees, every time it hits an enemy, it drops a thundercloud that does damage to all enemies caught in the thundercloud.
Yeah.
So Sister bounces and drops like 4 thunderclouds that just wreck everything. The moment I figured out that special, like that spec, I was like, yes, this character is incredible. Some other honorable mentions I think are interesting are Maya in Borderlands 2 has an ability called Cloud Kill.
Okay.
Every time she does the first damage she does every like 6 seconds or something like that, drops a poison cloud. So every time she hits enemy with a bullet, the first bullet that hits the enemy drops a poison cloud and just does tons of damage. It's a really interesting mechanic, especially considering you don't really need a poison weapon with her or a corrosive weapon.
Was it her or Lilith that had the phase lock?
She was the phase lock.
Okay, that was my favorite. Yeah, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
if you're not done.
The last thing I think is I did not understand the interesting implications of this ability till much later when I played him. The sniper tree of Zero has an ability called Bore, which many Borderlands fans consider the most useful game-changing ability in the game. And all it does is when you hit an enemy, it goes through them as opposed to the bullet goes through them as opposed to stopping. What this and that sounds simple, right? The implication is, it also does more damage for every enemy weak point it hits. So every enemy weak point it goes through, it does more damage. What this means is when you have big bosses that have multiple weak points, you can sit there with a shotgun, spam the shotgun attack. Every single projectile goes through the enemy, hitting every weak point, doing more damage per weak point it hits.
Because shotguns
melt
shells.
Yeah, melts enemies. It's insane. Yeah,
interesting.
So
you think about like sniper rifles only.
Yeah.
You never even think about using that on a shotgun.
Yeah, or an SMG where every single projectile, multiple rounds, is just
crazy.
Cutting through enemies.
That's crazy.
Genius. Yeah.
So
really
my boring termite over here. My favorite was phase lock, and the reason why I liked it.
Interesting.
So in Borderlands, you have a mini-map, and when there's enemies around you, the mini-map it indicates each enemy with a red diamond. Yeah. And so you can see as all the enemies spawn around you, you have like a sea of diamonds like coming at you.
Yeah.
And then on your compass at the bottom of the screen, you can see where they are and your bearing. So as you turn around northwest, south, and east, you turn around, you can see those red dots kind of line up. And so I get overwhelmed really quickly with whenever there's a cloud of red, and I want to stop all of them. So I love AoE damage, and I use a lot of grenades. I use a lot of explosions, and I like that. It makes me, explosions makes me feel good. So phase lock, you can throw it into the middle of a crowd of enemies, and it sucks all of them together, and then you can use a shotgun or a rocket launcher, something that hits everything super, super fast. And I've always liked SMGs the most. For some reason, I like them a lot. And
they
so
are effective in Borderlands.
They really are, and especially the elemental ones like fire and lightning and stuff. So I would use phase lock, and it would have all of its. It would immediately hit them with dots, damage over time. You know, you can tweak the phase lock thing, right?
Yeah.
So like later on, you could do this. The storm
like
cloud.
for those who are confused of what we mean by phase lock, just think of it as a black hole.
It sucks
pulls
all
an
the
enemy
enemies
in and then pulls a bunch of other enemies near it, depending on how you spec it out.
So my favorite thing was to just throw one of those into a huge sea of enemies and like just wreck them all with my SMG and shotgun. And I was so pleased and happy with all of that
very rewarding.
that I never thought about anything else. I was like, this is great.
Maya's great because
all the time.
they made her like a quasi healer for the game too. You can spec her out in such a way where like you can phase lock your teammates when they're down, and it'll pick them up, fight for life. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with her phase lock ability, and I like that a lot of it. She's a well designed. She's probably the best designed character in Borderlands.
Yeah.
But Borderlands
I love
2.
me some Sirens.
Borderlands 2, sorry.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's skip this next one because I don't know if you know the guns well enough to say favorite gun, unless you have one off the top of your head.
Favorite single? Yes.
Oh, okay. Go
what
ahead.
is the one that mouths off in a British accent? It's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
What is that gun? I'm dying every time I use it. It's in Borderlands.
I know, Borderlands pre-sequel, I forget what it's called, I'm sorry, but I know that the red text, which is like, it says, rock off, you dog.
Yeah.
Oh
my god.
It cusses at you
and
in
like,
Cockney or whatever, or like Australian slang.
Yes, by far, that is my favorite weapon.
Fair enough.
And I used it when it was way too weak. I should not have been using that gun because it was so funny.
Yeah, that one reminds me, it actually changes my answer because there's a gun in Borderlands pre-sequel as well. Yeah, and it was one of the glitched weapons. So in the DLC for the Claptrap DLC, like you can glitch out, or you can get these weapons that glitch out whenever you like
There's
reload
trophies
them.
For that.
Yeah, there's a gun called Kill, and its red text says kill, 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 kill. Every single time you shoot a bullet from this automatic weapon, you hear this high pitched voice go kill, 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 kill.
Oh my gosh. No, that is not my favorite.
It's hilarious. It's a good one. That one, and the one that I had in mind before this was the one from the Tiny Tina DLC where it's a shotgun that shoots swords that explode into other swords that also explode. The sword explosion is what it's called. It's a good one. That just gives you an idea of how ridiculous the guns are.
And Borderlands 3 has a cheeseburger gun, right?
Yeah, there's a rocket launcher that shoots cheeseburgers that bounce and explode. It's
gonna be so fun. I can't wait for 3.
And all the guns with legs and everything. Yeah, 3 is gonna be good. We'll talk about 3 probably at the end. Favorite element of the like 7 elements or whatever. You like fire the best. I like cryo. Cryo was the replacement for slag, which is universally reviled because of how required it was. Yeah. So slag, basically the way it worked was like you use a slag gun, and the slag gun would turn the enemy purple, and then every other element would do like 200% increased damage. So when you're getting to like the super high levels of the game, it's required. In order to kill enemies, you have to slag them first. So it just limited all the builds. Everything had to have some form. You had to have some way of slagging enemies, which limited what you could do. Yeah. And everybody hated it. In pre-sequel, they replaced it with cryo, which is not required, but what it does is it freezes the enemies. So for number 1, it provides crowd control because they get stuck. Yep. And then while they're frozen, they take more melee or explosive damage.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They take like 200% melee and explosive damage. Cool. So you follow it up with an explosion, which is my second favorite element, and it's awesome. Cool. Favorite joke, if you have a single joke that you can think of.
Holy smoking cinnamon! I can't say the whole thing. This thing is a monster! It was in the General Knox DLC of Borderlands 1. And you have to go get a supercharger for a car, and Scooter just flips out. And I just, I had to drop the controller and cry laughing. You can look it up on YouTube. It is hilarious. It is totally like, what's the word when you go against your religion?
Blasphemous?
That's it. It's totally blasphemous, and it's quote, uses the Lord's name in vain. I won't repeat it here, but hilarious. We are family friendly podcast, oh my gosh. If you know that quote, you know it. And you are laughing. I hope you're laughing with me right now because it is hilarious.
Despite the fact that this character, Claptrap, the little robot, funny robot, is
there's so many good ones.
Fairly polarizing character. I do love him to death. Yeah. He can be annoying at times, but I absolutely adore Claptrap. He drew me immediately to the franchise, so I kind of have to honorable mention him. Yeah. One of his quotes, the very beginning of Borderlands 2, he says, Basically all
Your
you
ability.
do, yeah, exactly. Basically all you do is like all you have to do is like walk to a certain spot, and he congratulates you in a very like nice way, in one of the best quotes in any game. I love. He goes, your ability to walk short distances without dying will be Handsome Jack, the villain's downfall. So good.
So awesome.
I love that one.
I'm actually quite depressed.
Yeah.
That's
This
awesome.
is my default tone of voice. I'm actually quite depressed. Is another great one from early in Borderlands 2. And then another honorable mention from Borderlands 2, because I love Tiny Tina. You basically do this quest for her where you get these 2 stuffed bunnies that are full of explosives.
Yeah.
And then you make an explosive out of them. And Tiny Tina, who is also a bit obsessed with girls, being a girl herself. She says something along the lines of, she said, no, the exact quote is, when you go, you have to get her stuffed animal who's called Mushy Snugglebutts. And she goes, she got a belly full of dynamite and a booty like pow.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just the quote that I say all the time.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite lines.
Yeah.
So,
Tiny Tina's got lots.
Yeah, those are good.
She's so funny.
Yeah. Those are favorite jokes. Yeah. Cool. All right. So those are our favorites and rankings. Yay. So let's talk. I know we're really far into this episode already, but let's go
all night.
Yeah, let's go all night. But I feel like Borderlands.
It's Borderlands and bourbon. You can't mix.
Borderlands.
You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
What's the impact, influence, and innovation that Borderlands has brought to the industry and to the culture at large?
We touched on this. Destiny exists because of Borderlands. Division 2
There's
exists.
an entire genre that exists.
The looter shooter.
Yeah, the looter shooter that
Borderlands.
married RPGs with FPSs. There have been strides towards that in the past. So, Borderlands obviously takes a lot of inspiration from other genres, but it really created its own genre. So, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that, again, I mean, I think it carried on a tradition of, good comedy in games. This came out of the end of the aughts, and we did a whole Gaming by the Decade on the aughts. And you can still tell the game's in many ways trying to be gritty, but it's also a testament of the fact that it's oh yeah, no, games don't have to be gritty. They can be fun and colorful and lighthearted and still be good.
And pop culture referencing.
Yeah.
Modern, up to date. I don't know what to say about Borderlands has always been that way. They take pop culture references and they put them in there in a fun way, even down to how gamers interact on the internet.
Yeah.
There was a World of Warcraft poke fun in Borderlands 2 with the stealing of loot. What is it? Ninja?
The Loot Ninja, yeah.
Loot Ninja. And it was making fun of this
spawn
idea.
Camping,
and spawn camping. All this stuff kind of came out in MMOs, modern MMOs at the time, which was pretty much World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And so it had all these pop culture references within the gaming industry, but also Ninja Turtle quests, like we talked about, where it would hit on the millennials that were at that age that loved Ninja Turtles growing up, myself, and were playing Borderlands 2. And so it had all of that in there, and it was still a single player experience and kind of a connected world. It was this weird hybrid in the early aughts where the internet didn't really take shape yet. It's not a games as a service, but yet it's still a solid game you can play on your own from beginning to end all by yourself, but it's optimized for couch co-op. And it had some weird quality of life issues with its loot, where you could steal everyone else's loot because everything that spawned out of an enemy you could just grab off the ground.
That's changing in 3, and I'm so excited.
And that's modern society. It's there. And so, Borderlands spawned this idea of merging genres, and that never had happened before. And so this was it
had been happening over time, but to this extent, it was 2 very different genres.
It was
boom,
Diablo
one game.
and Halo, together. And it was the co-op fun of Halo, where you could play a single story together, and it was the loot dropping and RPG elements of, say, Diablo, where you're grinding for loot over and over again, and skill trees where you develop a character and a class together. And it took that popularity of Halo. We should do an episode about Halo.
Yeah, it's probably coming next.
We need to do that because that's astronomically in and of itself an amazing achievement in first-person shooters for consoles and online engagement and communities. Well, Borderlands took all of that and was let's have the couch co-op experience match the online experience with 4-player co-op, where we have classes that complement each other, that are designed from the fundamental with all the skill trees to complement each other, with the idea of looting bazillions of guns that are just randomly generated with stats, where you can have elemental traits added to guns and you can just do all this crazy stuff. All of that was very new when it first came out, and I think games today have grabbed aspects of that and they take genre merging. We have Battle Royale, which is first-person shooter mixed with the 1 versus 100, like all versus everyone kind of mentality. I don't think we'd have Fortnite if it wasn't for Borderlands. I don't think we'd have... I know we wouldn't have the Destiny in Division 2, which I just mentioned, in Division 1, where we have these RPG, like, third-person shooters and all those things.
MMO lights, yeah. I mean, they
MMO
really...
Light, games as a service.
They definitely... They took the idea and they're like, hey... Like, you like first-person shooters? Or you like shooters, I should say, because they're not all first-person, like the Division's third-person, so is Anthem. But you like shooters and like guns, and then you also like MMOs.
RPG mechanics.
Here you go. Here's an entire genre for you. Yeah, for sure. You kind of hit on the fact that it was a game that was not afraid to pick fun at gamers and pick fun at, like, angry nerds. Mm-hmm. There's a great quest in pre-sequel where you're supposed to tell a character to cool off, and all you have to do is shoot. All that you have to do in the quest is go up to this character and shoot him with an ice gun.
He's
to freeze
so
him.
mad,
but he's just angry.
So angry.
And my favorite thing is he goes. I complain about casting decisions in movies that I haven't even seen yet.
He does. Yes.
Which is like...
And pre-sequel even pokes fun at Pokemon.
Yeah.
There's a whole like quest line where you have to capture the thing.
Yeah, we actually streamed that.
Yeah, we did.
Did that ever end up on our YouTube?
I don't know if it ended up on YouTube. I tried. I did it like
I remember
4
you
times.
tried and it like failed, but we did a whole stream where I like farmed that quest for you in order to give you experience. Yeah, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. What do you want to see out of Borderlands in the future? What kind of Borderlands game would be like on your Borderlands wish list?
They're already doing it with 3. They've announced all these cool things. So one of the biggest features ever is the instanced loot. And regardless of level, I can be level 1, you can be level 50, and I can join your game, and we can work together. My damage scales up to match yours. Yours scales down to match mine. There's some happy medium where we're fighting the same enemies and we're doing the same amount of percentage damage to their health.
They did
based
that in
on
Guild Wars too, and it worked out perfectly.
Yeah,
and like everything was scaled to.
Love it.
Yeah, it's
so
genius.
they're bringing that in because
that's the technology that I don't even think existed back in 2009 when this game came out.
Yeah, it didn't at all, and that was one of the faults of Borderlands. Besides its level design, which I ranted about earlier, is. If someone got ahead of you, they're ahead of you.
Yeah.
And that's it. And like, I'm just going to jump into your game. All the enemies are your level, and I'm just going to die.
All the loot's your level. I can't use anything.
And I can't do anything. I'm just going to be here. It's stupid. So we actually played that game socially, a meta game where we're like, who's got a character at our level? It's like, I'm going to create 3 characters, this character with Ryan, this character with Nathan, this character with Ian, and this character for myself, and this character with my brother. So I have like 5 characters that are all like different progression because I'm playing with different people and I want to maintain that.
Yeah, now in 3 you'll be able to just hop in. Yeah, you'll be able to play your character and get rewarded.
Yep.
Even if you're playing with someone who's vastly lower or higher level than you.
And then the loot instancing where everyone loots a chest and they see a full chest of guns.
Yep.
Whether you and I...
If I grab a gun...
I don't see you grab
it doesn't affect you grabbing that same gun.
My own gun.
Yep, you get your own version scaled to your level. Yep, exactly.
And that's amazing. Yeah. And I guess modern games have that more normal. That's a more normal, like, late 2010s. What do they call this? The 10s?
I don't know. 2010s, I think is what I've heard. Yeah.
The 2010s? I don't know.
2010s,
yeah. And like late 2010 kind of game style. Anything that's online is usually yours. It's instant. Diablo 3 is the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like you kill an enemy,
totally
kill a boss.
Modern game design.
Yeah. And so I'm glad that Borderlands is implementing that. It just takes away all of you can't ninja anyone else's loot. Mm-hmm. You can't power level anybody. You are progressing through the game. I hope they do. This is where I really hope this is it. This is the answer to your question. The quest lines. How are they going to handle the story? How are they going to let me be behind you but join your game? How are they going to handle the quest line and the story spoilers? Because if you're ahead of me in the story, how am I going to get a cohesive experience?
I'm assuming that you'll have to... The best way of handling that is for the higher level person to join the lower level person's game and replay the quests.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that they have... Again... Borderlands 3, though I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about it for a lot of reasons. Borderlands 3, in a lot of ways, is a reaction to how things have been going with sort of the games as a service. If Borderlands 3 was to be released 3 years ago, I think it would have looked more like Destiny. So
absolutely.
If Gearbox had never done Battleborn.
Yeah.
And they had gone right into Borderlands 3. Mm-hmm. Borderlands 3 would have looked like Destiny. It would have been a competitor.
So do you think Battleborn was a good thing then?
I don't know.
It was a game that flopped. For you guys who don't know, it's like Overwatch. It was a class-based, a character-based,
it's not like Overwatch. Shooter. It's more like League of Legends, but with first-person shooter.
It was a MOBA.
It was a MOBA.
Right.
It was a MOBA. It was an FPS MOBA. Yeah.
But it was character based with character abilities like Overwatch,
and also very cartoony, so it felt very. And it came out
lost within a week of Overwatch. It was completely overshadowed by and destroyed by.
It was crushed by Overwatch.
But yes, you're right. It was a MOBA married together with the ideas of Overwatch.
Yeah, so it was made by the same people as Borderlands.
Totally unique, but it flopped.
It definitely flopped. Yeah, and but it definitely delayed the release of Borderlands 3, and so Borderlands 3 is really a reaction to how live service games have been received. And so what they did with Borderlands 3, which I applaud them for, is they kept the same formula as Borderlands and just released another Borderlands game. So they didn't try to make it a games as a service MMO light, like
or a battle
Destiny
royale
or a battle royale or anything like that.
Yeah,
they just kept the same formula.
And
it's a looter shooter
to its criticism.
It's got co-op and online elements, but it's not an online MMO light. They're not going to be adding raids to it. They'll have 4 DLC packs like the other other games, and it'll just be adding more of the same kind of content. It'll add some grindy boss fights and stuff like that, but not like full-blown raids. It's not going to have content, like scheduled content releases and stuff like that, where it's like whole events around
so it's definitely
content.
not EA.
Yeah. That said, I will say that on the one hand, I applaud them for just making a game that's like their other games. On the other hand, there's so much potential for the Borderlands universe to work with those kind of games. If there had been no Destiny, and there had just been the Borderlands quote MMO, that would have been a great game.
Yeah,
because again, part of and I've talked about this before, part of what works with Borderlands is the crazy. Like they don't feel beholden to stick to any kind of reality. They just do what they want.
Yeah, they do what they want. It's awesome.
That would they could add so much interesting stuff there. I hit on earlier. I was like, I think an open world Borderlands game would be awesome, where you could just go to any planet and there's a big open world map available to you to explore and discover and like find, and then that works with the loot. That works with the loot idea of the game. And you go into a cave and there's a big boss there. You fight him. You get a bunch of cool loot out of it. Like,
what about procedurally generated dungeons?
Yeah,
and caves and like raid areas. And
Borderlands shares a lot with Diablo and sort of its inspiration. And so I think there seems to have something called Proving Grounds in Borderlands 3, which sounds like
it was most recently announced at Gamescom.
It was very recently announced, and it sounds like kind of a procedurally generated, also like timed, like rush to the end to get loot kind of thing, which is very much like Diablo Rifts. So it sounds like they're trying to take some ideas from that, but I just think it would be crazier if it was just this big open world where you could go find and kill bosses, procedurally generated, get loot. The other thing I think would be interesting was like, there's always 4 very specific vault hunters and trees in every game. What if they gave you access to all 20 or 24 vault hunters in the game?
That'd be crazy.
Like the vault hunters from every game. So like they would have to kind of beef up the Borderlands 1 trees are very different from the Borderlands 2 and pre-sequel and 3 trees. So they brought them all kind of like tweak them so that they have the same spirit as each character's trees, but like modernize them. And then every single all 24 vault hunters were playable. Like, and then in this open world game, that's entire conceit was based around finding and killing really powerful monsters and getting really powerful, like really good loot. That's the game I want.
Did you see that they're not going to add any vault hunters to Borderlands 3? They've announced that.
They're
going to add
Randy
trees.
Pitchford has said that that's what they were thinking about doing, but official. No official. They have not officially said that they will absolutely 100% not add characters. So it's still up in the air. But yes, I have seen that their design for it is they would like to add more trees.
Instead of more characters.
I'm like,
where are you at with that? Because you love the idea of customizing a character and changing the game and changing the mechanics with skill trees and leveling up. And
so I'll tell you the pros and cons. I love the idea that the idea, some of the things that I like about it is you don't have to level a character. You can just respec into the new tree. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
you can combine that tree with something else you already have.
Yeah. On the other hand, one of the things Borderlands does so well is creating characters out of the playable character. So granted, they've had to evolve that over time. So like the pre-sequel characters and all of their different dialogue, that's like the most evolved version of it that we've seen.
Right. It's the most modern one.
Whereas 1, but even with 1, like after playing all 3 games, Lilith feels like a character that exists. Mordecai, Brick, Roland, they're all characters that have been fleshed out over time.
Yeah.
That you like can bond with, and then you play Borderlands 1 and you play as them.
Yeah.
Same with 2. So I'm super excited. In 3, for example, you'll be able to interact with Maya from 2.
I can't wait. Yeah.
And she'll have a personality, and she'll send you on quests, and she'll interact with you, and that's what they do well. So like the idea of them adding more characters to that pool of interesting characters is really appealing to me. So I like the idea of them doing that. But I see where they're going. Well, I see the idea of like, oh yeah, why don't we just add depth to the characters that already exist.
Yeah.
So
I'm extremely excited about Amara. She's another Siren. I love her character, everything they've shown about her. I love all of her abilities.
Well, and this
so
is the
far.
Siren game. This game they've said they're going to go in depth.
I've always wanted to know more about the Sirens. It's been the most fascinating thing to me since Borderlands 1.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, we're hour and 25 minutes into the episode.
Yeah.
So the Sirens are, the first Siren was a playable character in Borderlands 1.
Yep.
They've continued the tradition of every Borderlands game they've had a Siren except for pre-sequel.
Right.
You can play as a Siren. So, and then the mythology, there's around this mythology of there's these 6 women. At all times, there's 6 women in the universe that have these magical powers, essentially, is all the best we can describe them, and they're called Sirens.
Yeah.
Lilith is the Siren in 1.
So is Angel.
Angel's a Siren in 1 as well, but you don't find out she's a Siren until 2.
Right.
Spoilers. You play as the Siren Maya in 2, and then there's Commandant Steele in 1 was a Siren, but she's dead now, so her powers presumably have passed on to someone else.
Right, because there's only 6 ever.
Yep, there's only ever 6. Angel's also, spoilers, now dead too, so her Siren powers are presumably passed on. So now so the existing Sirens that we are aware of are Maya, Lilith, obviously, Amara, who's the playable one in 3.
Yep.
The new villain is named Tyreen, and she's one of the Calypso twins. They've shown she's a Siren. So the villain's a Siren, there's a playable Siren, and like one of the main characters is also...
That's 4.
2 of the main characters are Sirens. So this is going to be the 5? Siren game. That's 4 so far.
All right, 4.
There's a girl that Maya is training, and they haven't confirmed she's a Siren, but it's probable that she's a Siren. Yeah. And then in a lot of the imagery, you see a girl with a mask and clipped wings in a lot of the imagery of the stuff. And so there's 2 like child Sirens that are probably going to be in Borderlands. So we'll probably know all 6 Sirens in Borderlands.
I hope.
3.
I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Bring them on. Let's go. I love the Sirens. They're awesome.
Amara is great too because she's like a brawler Siren.
Yes. Finally, like a melee. Like I'm going to get in your face because the Sirens
she's
in the
like
past.
Brick and which Brick was the character I played in Borderlands 1, and he's awesome.
My personality type is all about the tank. Like I want to be in the middle of it all. Like I said, there's a field of red diamonds in this map. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to suck them all together. I'm going to do some crazy damage. That's all I'm about. And the Sirens in the past have been kind of ranged.
Casters,
like
stealth,
mage, which I also
Lilith
love.
was a stealther.
With the phase lock, running through.
Phase shift,
That's it. Thank you. Phase shift, because lock. I talked about that.
Phase shift, phase lock, and
phase
now
shift.
it's phase. There's phase. She also has phase grasp, phase slam, and phase cast, which is her. No, so Amara is great because she's got Borderlands 3 and this is a feature I'm excited about. So this is segues well.
Yes.
I'm excited that they've expanded the action skill so that now it's it's very different for each Vault Hunter. So each Vault Hunter is going to feel very, very different. And B, each Vault Hunter has multiple different ways of changing their action skills. So like Amara, your example, you've got at the base, you've got 3 different action skills to choose from, and then you've got, I think, up to 11 modifications of those action skills. So, like I said, she's got phase slam, where she summons her 6 arms and just slams the ground with magic. She's got phase grasp, which is like phase lock. It's exactly Maya's phase lock, but you can modify it in really cool ways.
Yeah.
And then you've got phase cast, where she like shoots an astral projection of herself forward. So it's like you're literally your magic missile in a lot of ways.
Yep.
So that's cool too. So, but then each character works different. So Flack, as we talked about in the podcast before, he's got 3 pets. There you go.
Hey.
They have 3 pets. Those pets are always out.
Yep.
So they're much more like hunters in World of Warcraft as opposed to Mordecai or Death Trap, Gage's Death Trap, where you summon it once.
I thought Mordecai was the weakest character across the board.
It lasts.
That little like Bloodhawk that you send out there hits one enemy once.
I've never played him, so I don't know
so
for
bad.
sure. I think you can spec it out to be a little bit more powerful.
Yeah, but every time I play with someone who did Mordecai or like loved him, I was like, I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah, so now the Flax pets, though, they're persistent. They persist. They're always out. And then his action skills are separate from his pets.
Their action skills
are separate from their pets. They can fire, they can throw racks. Like they call them pocket racks, where the racks
that's awesome.
come out of their quote pockets and dive bomb enemies.
Yeah.
They can summon their pet through a gamma portal.
Yeah.
So you pick a spot and your pet goes through that into a portal, and then that portal does damage.
You're going to play flag. You got to play flag.
Totally playing flag.
Yes.
They also have they're the stealther, so you can go fade away, is it called? You go camouflage, and then you do like crits for every shot you
what was
shoot while you're
the pet person in Devil May Cry 5?
What
was his name? It was like just like
V.
that. V, yeah. You were so excited about V.
I'm super excited about
now
Flag.
You're excited by Flag, yeah.
But then you've got Zane, who's got he's got a drone, he's got a shield, and he's got a digiclone, which all sound boring until you realize the fact that he can replace his grenade with 2 action skills. So at all times he can combine 2 action skills. Yeah. So he works very differently. And then finally there's Mose, who's the Titanfall, the mech. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the way her action skills work is she only has 1 action skill, which is summon her mech.
Right.
But then all of her she can add 2 arms to each of her mech.
And those arms can be all kind of different
There's
stuff.
A flamethrower, there's a rail gun, there's a bear claw, where it's just a pressurized claw that's like melee.
Yep.
And you can combine, you can have 2 claws, you can have a flamethrower and a claw, you can have a flamethrower and a rail gun.
I think she's gonna be my ult.
She's gonna be your ult, yeah.
I like that Amara and her are amazing. I'm so excited.
It's great. So the character design looks really good in Borderlands 3. But I do think that if we're looking, the other feature I'm excited about with Borderlands 3 is just the story looks great. It looks like it's really well fleshed out. I'm excited about the fact that it seems like they're focusing on endgame. They haven't confirmed whether it's required to play through the game multiple times, though they've hinted at it, which I'm not that excited about the idea of playing through the game multiple times, because that's the way you progress through Borderlands in every game so far, is like play through the game multiple times to get to max level.
Right.
I don't love that. I would have preferred like an adventure mode like Diablo 3.
So it's confirmed that they're still making you play through the game multiple times?
They haven't 100% confirmed that.
So there could be an adventure mode.
There could be an adventure mode.
Well, there's the endgame content. What did they just announce?
There's the proving grounds,
yeah,
and the arenas. Yeah. So it seems like they understand that players want choice, and so I'm hoping that design carries through in the final result.
Yep.
And if I don't want to level a character by playing the same campaign multiple times, I have other options.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping they end up with. It seems like they're taking strides in that direction. They understand, and it seems like they are focused on end game in this game more than they've focused on any other game
Well, we
before.
have a culture that's like rife with games as a service. We're used to having one game that you play forever.
Yep.
And it's going to constantly change. It's going to constantly have updates. It's going to constantly increase its bar. So you can always get higher gear, better gear, loot, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
We're in that world now. That's the norm.
Yep.
And because the most popular games do that, there's seasons now.
Yep.
Like, that's where you make your money. You just constantly update the game you have.
Yeah, so I'm almost glad that they're not focusing too much on that.
They're not, and it's good.
But it also seems like they're like, there's a lot of criticism there, I agree, but it also seems like they are still making an emphasis that like, okay, when you're done with the game, you're not just, when you're done with the story, you're not done with the game.
Exactly.
And that's what I think
there might be
important.
That perfect balance that they got. Yep. They might have that.
I hope so.
And I love the innovations they're doing with streaming. The streaming enhancements where you can like have the audience pick what loot you get and like, all that stuff, and they can see your entire build, and they can critique it, and they can see it without you having to go into a menu and stop your action. They can see your entire character build.
Right, they don't have to ask you, and you don't have to explain for every time someone joins your stream. They don't have to be like, "Oh, I'm running this build."
Right,
like,
they can just go
look. They can go look and see what you're running.
And that's new
great.
and innovative and cool, and Twitch plugins. I can't wait to see what we're going to do with that.
Yeah, so we've hit the hour and 30 mark.
All right, let's go.
Which to me is the plug.
Let's go.
Let's pull it out.
All right, so that's Borderlands 3.
We're super excited about Borderlands 3.
If you couldn't tell.
We're hoping you're enjoying the game. If you're playing it, I guess you will be playing it this weekend. And yeah, that's our Everything Borderlands episode. So we want to hear your thoughts. What do you love about Borderlands 1 through pre-sequel?
Yeah.
And later, if you've listened to this after playing Borderlands 3, and we may have, you know what, Borderlands 3 may come out and all of our favorites may have completely changed. So that was like the risk. Do we do this episode before or after Borderlands 3? We chose to do it before, so we'd be happy to.
Maybe we'll do a little bonus episode where we just talk about Borderlands 3
and how
kind of
it's
review
changed,
it and how we think about it after we play it.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Or, another place you can hit us up to see what our thoughts are on Borderlands 3, Discord.
Yep. We'll live
Take
chat
it away,
anyone
Termite.
there. Like I said, Discord, there's a link to our Discord server in every episode. 2 episodes ago, last week, and this week are all going to have that link. So check out the episode description to find it. Again, you can find us on Reddit. That's probably the other place you can see a subreddit of us and a topic, a thread, if you will, a discussion about Borderlands 3, hit us up on social media, on Facebook or Twitter. You can add us 80BIT Podsmash on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll have multiple posts there. Interact with us live. We're really good at reacting to everyone. So if you hit us up on a social media platform, we're more than likely to respond. And if you want to send us an email, I mean, you can do that too. 80bitpodsmash@gmail.com. You can find us on all of our podcast services where we might have a review episode, a little bonus content for you about Borderlands 3. So you can also find us on twitch.tv/80BIT Podsmash, where our VODs are uploaded to youtube.com/80bitpodsmash. That's it. We're everywhere.
Yep.
Please let us know if there's somewhere else we want to be so we can extend our little ad pull.
And please just say hi. Reach out to us. We want to know that you exist and you're listening out there. So that's your assignment for the week, is to just
let us know you're listening.
Let us know you're listening. Yep. Shout us out. Next week we will be doing it's going to be episode 104 next week, which if you math, which
that's
I
2 years.
don't generally math, so that's not an indictment.
52 times 2.
Yep, 52 times 2 is 104.
104.
So 2 years. So we're going to be doing a good old retrospective on and celebration of 80-bit Podsmash.
Yes,
2 years.
We might live stream that.
Maybe, yeah.
We'll probably will.
Yeah, for sure. We'll live stream it. Yeah, it'll happen. It'll be a thing. We're committing to it right now. So,
all right, we're going to live stream it.
All right. We're recording that. We're doubling up this week, so that's like this week, so we're going to do that. So.
We're doing that.
All right. Well, have a good week, y'all. Hope
See you
enjoy
next
Borderlands.